Welcome to Week in One, the show that helps you catch up with the top news stories and interviews featured on ENCA over the last 7 days. I'm Nomasonto Pooe. Let's catch you up. Truck attacks have reared its ugly head once again in the country. Johannesburg residents feel the brunt of the water shutdown that kicked in Tuesday night. And the mass murder of 6 people in Gugulete rocks the Eastern Cape. Families of those who died in a gas leak at an informal settlement in Boksburg are appealing for assistance in getting their loved ones home. 17 people died after inhaling nitrate oxide fumes last week. Gas cylinders were left open by illegal miners. The Democratic Alliance visited their families this week, calling on government to take decisive action to end illegal mining. ENCA's Nomasonto has the latest.
A community bidding farewell to one of its own. 51-year-old Saifred Sibieng was one of the 17 people who died after inhaling toxic fumes in his shack. His body is now being taken home to Limpopo for burial. Survivors of the gas leak are battling to come to terms with their loss. This family lost 6 loved ones.
Laba shonile bami straight, laba shonile bami straight labonke by 5 usazibedlela kone 1 angazi ukuthi usophila na angazi because angakhuluma angenzi next angeke ngikhohlwa into le yenzeke la ngiyacaka uyibona kahle kahle sisingizalo ngiyathemba noma baboma angazange ayibona le ndaba le.
Manyisi says the biggest challenge now is having her relatives' bodies returned to Mozambique.
Kubahambisa eMozambique umuntu emoshari yangapha bathi umuntu we1 bafuna imali ya 8500 i-discount. Noma umuntu ahamba e1 emzini wakhe e1 umuntu batofuna imali ya 15000. Mara asinamali. Asazi ukuthi uzenza kanjani. Kodwa ilabantu becela ukuthi basize labantu basincede sihamba na emakhaya singqoshela emakhaya.
The Democratic Alliance has promised to assist, but it's lambasted government for dragging its feet.
I'm actually then already in the process of writing to the embassy, the Mozambican embassy, to then find out if they are able to then assist in expatriating the people back to Mozambique and what kind of assistance can be given. If we're not going to be able to then do that, I think we're going to need to have a conversation with the Premier, with the MEC, and also with the Gugulete Council to see if we're able to then offer the families indigent burials.
The parties also called on government to consider legalizing illegal mining to prevent further loss of life. This is one person who inhaled gas remains in hospital. But as you walk on the streets, the rattling sounds of generators used in illegal mining can still be heard across the settlement. And we've seen quite a number of operations which show that illegal mining is still continuing unabated. No one has been arrested for the deaths, but families say their only hope now is that their loved ones will be repatriated back home for burials. Nomasonto Pooe, Boksburg.
Long-distance truck drivers say they feel unsafe on the roads. They are calling on government to deal with the recent spate of truck attacks. Police Minister Gugulete says 21 trucks have been set alight in various provinces since Sunday. At the same time, soldiers and more police have been deployed to strategic routes regarded as hotspots. ENCA Siphamandla Goge reports.
Sipho Khumalo has been a truck driver for more than a decade. He drives the long-distance route between Johannesburg and Durban.
Ukukhuluma iqiniso mfethu mina ngizibona ngaphephile ngoba kumanje njengoba ngilana eMoy River angazi ukuthi ngizofika eGoli ngalesimo esikhona so angazi besicela noma uhulumeni ukuthi maybe angayixazulula ngokusheshsha lento.
Khumalo says if he had plan B he would have long quit the truck driving job.
Komunye umsebenzi engiwaziyo iwona lo ukushayela amaloli. So ayikho into engizoyenza ngoba abantwana kumele balale badlile.
Some truck drivers say despite not knowing for certain what's the root cause behind the torching of trucks, cheap labor and unregulated employment of outsiders are some of the concerns in the industry.
I'm not feeling safe because this thing is affecting us as drivers. But my concern is now we don't know whether this thing it's a crime or else people they're trying to take action because of government. It seems that government they don't want to attend the problem of foreigners. I'm not against the foreigners, but government they must come with something, more especially to the company those they hired foreigners because they want to take advantage of them.
Others are calling on government and the freight industry to undertake an extensive audit of all companies to deal with cheap labor and unsatisfactory working conditions.
The only solutions that's gonna help our fellow transport industries is that if government should step up and do an audit every month. I think every company is registered from big to small companies. They are registered, and then the only solution that's gonna be there, it's when they send every single month an auditor who's gonna audit in each and every transport industry company, and then check whether they are paying the drivers all right. Are they following the rules of the National Bargaining Council? And then that's the only solution that's gonna help us.
While government has beefed up security at key strategic high-risk routes, including the Moy Plaza on the N3 in the KwaZulu-Natal Midlands, truck drivers say this is a short-term solution. Siphamandla Goke, Moy River, KwaZulu-Natal.
There is no evidence to suggest that this is a repeat of the July unrest. This is according to Police Minister Gugulete. Since Monday morning, 21 trucks have been torched in 3 provinces. The minister says there are elements of economic sabotage at play, with 12 people so far identified to be behind the attacks. ENCA's Heidi Jokas has those details.
The SANDF have already been deployed in KwaZulu-Natal. This after 21 trucks were torched, most of them in KZN. Police Minister Gugulete says there is no evidence at this point to suggest there will be a repeat of the July unrest. The minister says this could all be linked to possible economic sabotage.
There are 12 people that have been identified, people of interest, by names, some of them by address, some of them by the cars they drive. Exactly where I will end there because the police will have to take it from there. Maybe going too much of that information, we would be saying to them, we are very close to you. It could be these 12 people or less than those 12 people by the time, because this number has been updated. All the time, the people that have been identified there, they've been around 5 in KZN and 3 in Limpopo. So there's been the addition now on those. Yes, you do ask what happened then in Mpumalanga. That's a part that as the police will have to find out what happened, and then we'll have to respond to.
There's also much criticism that intelligence is not on the ball, but the SAPs say all is under control.
We might as well add that we're very thankful to Defence operating KZN. They are working with us, especially on those strategic areas like Moy River Plaza. Yes, all major routes have been secured and regular patrols are being conducted along identified high-risk routes, as I made the point about Moy River and other high-risk areas.
For now, police have indicated they will be monitoring going forward and believe the situation has been brought under control. Heidi Jokas in Pretoria.
Stay tuned to Week in One. Coming up, we look at some of the big interviews done by our anchors this week. Welcome back to Week in One. I'm Nomasonto Pooe. In the most recent attack on trucks, 2 were set ablaze along the N2 highway in Empangeni on the KwaZulu-Natal North Coast. The spate of attacks in the past few days not only costs operators, but raises security concerns for South Africa as a whole. ENCA anchor Gareth Edwards spoke to Gavin Kelly, the CEO of the Freight Road Association.
What's your thinking? What's the belief of why these attacks are happening?
Well, Gareth, it's pretty clear. The ATDFs of SA has said that they're taking the fight back to the roads because the task team that was created about 18 months ago, probably almost 2 years now, has not achieved what it was supposed to achieve. There are a number of issues that it needed to address. Progress has been painfully slow, and they want their supporters or their members, if you want to use that term, but those who support them, to be employed. This is all about employment. It's about getting foreign individuals who, to their mind, are taking their jobs and are being employed out of the country, getting their members back into the seats. No one wants to listen to them, is their rhetoric or narrative. So let's go to the streets and start burning trucks again.
Gavin, I'm afraid you're going to have to remind me, ATDF, if I heard you correctly, just unpack that for me. Who is this?
That's the All Truck Drivers Foundation. So it's a grouping of people who support or who say represent the unemployed truck drivers in South Africa. And these drivers are unemployed because their jobs have been filled by foreign nationals. That's the bottom line.
And how confident are you that they're the ones involved in this? Because obviously we're going to follow that lead as well. So how confident are you and what people are telling you that this is the very reason and what's going on?
Well, they've made a number of statements recently, and the Minister of Police also re-commented on that statement. The one statement was that they first said it wasn't them as an organization, but there were factions within the organization who had now lost patience and gone to the streets. And a little bit later, they actually made a comment saying that the task team hadn't achieved what it needed to do, and they were concerned that they weren't being listened to, and so had gone back to the streets. But they had warned the task team as well that, especially when we saw the extension of the ZEPs, and of course we've had that court case, that judgment being handed down in terms, I think, of the constitutionality thereof, but they have made it very clear that they are no longer happy with the lack of progress happening at the task team.
Our shows looked at the impact the truck attacks are having on big and small businesses. ENCA anchor Mase Goratlaga spoke to one such business, Lee Cole, owned by Bongani Philip.
So according to the truck driver who was in this particular truck this morning, I believe it happened in Mpumalanga, what is he saying happened? How did they manage to stop him?
Got a call this morning from some of my employees alerting me that one of our trucks was burned down between MLO and Piet Retief on its way to go to the port to go and offload one of our coal. Thank God that we serve that at least the driver was taken out and is unharmed. And then they burned down the truck. It's a brand new truck, which we got it last month, which is less than 5,000 kilometers on it. I mean, it pains me as the owner of the business that we have had to be subjected to this as African or Black South African, who is employing 20 South Africans, and you can multiply that by 10. You can assume that how many people that we're employing as a business. So we don't know why this has taken place, because we are not employing any foreigners. We are employing 20 South Africans who are feeding their family. I'm a South African as well, child of a former domestic worker and a farm worker during the apartheid years. I've rebuilt my life to be where it is, but unfortunately it's sad that my own people are the one that are taking food away from my family, my children, and those that are employed. It hurts me. This nonsense of this criminality must come to an end. And it's perpetuated by our own people. That is why I've taken a decision that I must come on live and indicate this thing. We are not faceless South African. We are not just numbers. We are not just statistics. I'm a Black South African from George, who grew up in a farm, who has worked hard to be where I am and creating jobs.
First and foremost on the minds of Johannesburg residents this week has been how they would be getting through water shutdowns that started on Tuesday night. Rand Water says it will take 10 days for the water supply to be fully recovered in several areas in Johannesburg, while much-needed maintenance takes place. ENCA anchor Tumelo Mthutwane spoke to Benoit Leroy, the CEO of SA Water Chamber.
Let's talk about why water outages seem to be increasing quite recently.
There's a much bigger picture at play, and this is part of the bigger picture. The Water and Sanitation Master Plan that was published after a lot of public pressure in 2018, after being absent for a decade, showed then that there's an underinvestment gap of 900 billion rand in water and sanitation infrastructure. And what we're seeing in Johannesburg at the moment, and in many parts of the country, including eThekwini, Nelson Mandela Bay, and obviously outside the metros, are the symptoms of underinvestment over the last 2 to 2.5 decades. And what we're doing now is playing catch up, but at the expense of the economy and dignity of people. So this is the tip of the iceberg, literally on this cold day.
After the break, 6 people are shot and killed in Gugulete in the Eastern Cape. Welcome back to Week in One. I'm Nomasonto Pooe. Eastern Cape Police say they are still searching for 3 suspects allegedly involved in the mass murder of 6 people in Gugulete. 4 people survived the ambush. A surviving family member confirmed to ENCA that he witnessed the shooting. Ronald Masinda gives us those details.
The incident occurred at around 20 to 8 on Tuesday evening. A relative of one of the deceased says he witnessed the crime.
Ukuya kwamnandi yendabona unantsika intombazana le kaSinovuyo yathi uSinovuyo la phakathi kanti umbuza kuye embuzeni kwami ke kulapho khona kusho izithonga zalamakhaladi omnye lo muntu ngithetha ngaye ke ngulo nayo isolekile lentombazana yalapha emali.
It's believed 3 unknown gunmen approached this house. They opened fire at 2 women who were standing near the gate. One of the women was shot and killed, while the other was left injured. The 3 unknown gunmen then approached the house where they shot 8 more people, shooting and killing 5 and injuring 3. One resident says she hopes to see more patrols in the area.
Imbi le nto yenzekayo abantwana bethu ngamaxhoba okudutyulwa sinqola amapolisa apatrole noma kuphelele imibane nje kupatrola amapolisa apha ngoba kaloku siyaboyika abantwana thina.
The house was known by the community and police as a drug den. Last week Saturday, SAPS even raided the property. The police hope that the community can also assist them in finding the killers.
Communities need to alert us of what's going on in their neighborhoods, because this is exactly what we want to prevent, is massacres and shootings where crime is actually quite rife. So we need them to come forward.
Some of the families of the deceased made their way to the house where the incident occurred. They are now hoping to get more answers from the police. Ronald Masinda in Kariaga.
Staying with crime, a 9-year-old boy was shot in the head in Manningburg at the weekend, has died. Family members say doctors at the Red Cross Children's Hospital battled to keep him alive for hours, but the wound was too severe. Police say a 34-year-old man has been taken in for questioning, and the case of attempted murder has now been changed to murder. Senior reporter Aisha Ishmael has that story.
It's still unclear who shot 9-year-old Tiano Anthony outside his house and why. The family home has been targeted for months. These bullet holes tell a story of gangsters determined to wipe out their rivals.
Ek is so seer gemaak vir wat nou gebeur het. Hy is so klein, maar net 9 jaar oud. 'n kind wat nog wil geliever dat grote opzeer vir die liewe. En die sonoggend toe ek kerk toe gaan. En toe ek in die kerk kom, toe kry ek vir hom die voorlê. Hy het 'n skietwond in sy kop. En ek het dit vir die Here gevra met 'n ja.
The City of Cape Town's JP Smith says gang activity has definitely increased since the beginning of May. A push for territory and drug trade has raised the levels of violence.
We've made investments such as we can in terms of drones that we are now increasingly using in operations supporting LEAP. We are the ISR, the Eye in the Sky, will be with us in February. That tender is underway. And I'm looking forward to that. That's exciting. It's going to be a big game changer for our ability to get eyes anywhere in the city and rapidly respond to shooting incidents and everything else and gather evidence. And we're increasingly investing in CCTV, massive investments in CCTV this year.
Smith says they are assisting in sharing information with the SAPs.
And excitingly, national government has now announced that they will join us in the expansion of the gunfire detection or shot spotter system and the CCTV, because you're not going to get ahead of this curve. You're not going to bring stability to communities without the use of technology. It's not a sole solver of the problem. It's not a magic wand that by itself solves problems. But where we have deployed Shot Spotter, we can see that the amount of gunfire over time has reduced steadily. But the ability to have that system means that we have been able to respond much more rapidly. And in a place like Manenberg, for instance, has allowed us to confiscate several firearms.
He says the Shot Spotter's sound thinking technology notifies authorities of the exact location of such gunfire.
So only when the shots goes off, then the city is alerted about the shots that is going off. So say for instance you will have the shots going off here. By the time the services comes out, that guys have left and you hear shots going off somewhere else. So one cannot say it is avoiding the shooting, you understand? So the ongoing shooting is continuously. It's just a more quicker way of getting the services out, but it's not saving any lives.
But Smith says arresting people and confiscating guns are saving lives. He admits, though, that gangsters are becoming smarter and playing the system. Aisha Ismail, Cape Town.
Some Johannesburg suburbs are already feeling the pinch of Rand Water's planned shutdown. Taps have run dry in many areas, including Northgate. This as a 58-hour maintenance work is carried out on the utility's aging infrastructure. The work started Tuesday evening. The city says contingency plans have been put in place. ENC's Mangobam Mkhunu has been on the ground covering that story for us.
As the planned water shutdown continues in Johannesburg, the impact on some communities has not been too bad.
We prepared ourselves for this load shedding water shortage. But at the moment, we're still having a bit of water. We don't have challenges at the moment. Going forward, we don't know, are we going to be faced with challenges?
We are sitting with a challenge with 3 floors. Yes, 3 floors. It's not 2 floors, actually. It's 2nd floor, 3rd floor, and 4th floor. We don't have water. And now the water is coming out slowly. And with all those people here with one JoJo, it's not enough.
But in others, water supply remains intermittent, with taps now running dry in some suburbs. Businesses in Northgate are among the hardest hit.
The customers can't use the toilets, so we have to lock it. And because we are dealing most with hygiene, so I can't clean. Because when after the customer is done cutting, I have to wash and clean all the things that you've used to cut, so I can't.
There's not a person here, and if they do come here, we've had to turn them away or send them out to other stores, like out in Blackheath or areas which still have water. But we don't know how long they will have water for, and we don't know when the water will come back here.
Added to their frustration are ongoing power cuts in the area.
Clearly it affects us. We've been through all the power outages, load shedding, back to stage 6. So this is really the cherry on top. We cannot do anything. Obviously a laundry is dependent on 2 things, water and electricity, and we've got problems with both.
The city says tankers have been deployed in critical areas, including clinics, old age homes and police stations, among others.
The Aikenhof Booster Pump Station, which services the greater Randburg and Roodepoort areas, this is the system that is mostly affected. recovery of the system will take up to 10 days. Johannesburg Water is providing stationary tankers in critical areas like hospitals, clinics, old age homes, municipal offices, and police stations. Updates will be provided to customers.
Meanwhile, Rainwater says its work is still on track, with completion expected on Friday. However, it may take hours or even days before water is fully restored, with residents warned to continue using water sparingly. Manqoba Mchunu, Johannesburg.
And that is a wrap of Week in One. From myself and the team, have a great weekend.